One of the things that the Jane Goodall Institute does that I feel is really most important is to try and give people hope.
Let's get started, shall we?
Hello there, and hi. It's me, DutchApplePie. And today, given the recent news about the passing of Dr. Jane Goodall, I thought I'd make a video in her homage. Because she has been a very influential person on who I have become as a person. Dr. Goodall was an English woman born in the 20th century and one of the world's leading primatologists, doing a lot of research on chimpanzees and other primates and really focusing on the social interactions that they underwent and the social intellect that they had. I came across her work first when I was a little kid, because I was heavily into scientific journals such as the National Geographic Junior and later on the National Geographic Channel. From there on out, I got to know of her incredible work, and that only grew bigger by the time I grew older and started to read more.
Dr. Goodall did most of her work in Africa, where obviously a lot of wild primates still live, and her most groundbreaking research was done within Tanzania and Kenya, where she lived amongst quite a few tribes of chimpanzees.
Dr. Goodall's work is well known around the world. She is often regarded as the world's preeminent primatologist and a pioneer within the field of primatology. She got her PhD from the University of Cambridge and went on to write well over 30 books and be subject of even more movies. And it is through that I got to know her work and who she is as a person. And it is that incredible work and the amazing person that she was that has made such a massive influence on who I am as a person. And in honor of that, I thought it no more befitting than to make a video honoring that message and that person. Dr. Goodall, you have never known me, but you have had a very big influence on who I am as a person and how I've come to appreciate and validate the world around me. For that, I am eternally grateful, and I hope that through this video, I get to repay some of what you have done for me back to the world. So without further ado, let's get started and see why you and I both matter, and why Dr. Goodall found it so important to remind us in her dying words that we matter to this planet and to this world.
And one of Dr. Goodall's most important messages was said in one of her final messages. And I will play a little clip of that right now.
I want to make sure that you all understand that each and every one of you has a role to play, and that every single day you live, you make a difference in the world, and you get to choose the difference that you make.
But it is very important to understand why she felt the need to say this, and it is why I have felt the need to make this video. Our opinions may oftentimes feel like they don't matter and they don't contribute much. Mostly because we do not always see immediate change after voicing our opinions. And that can oftentimes lead to feeling like your opinion isn't worth sharing because it will not change the status quo. I find it remarkable that Dr. Goodall took the time near the end of her life, knowing that this message would only be broadcasted after her death, to share something so important to her. And I think it's the reason that I feel I need to make this video. Our opinion, yours as well as mine, matters and needs to be said. And it doesn't just need to be said, it can have genuine impact, which we may not even realize. And I thought that that's why I'd make this video today, to show you why our opinion matters and why we should share it. Because our opinion can have a genuine influence on the world. And it already has for me. I haven't always been very vocal about the points I believe in because I used to fear that my opinion didn't matter and wouldn't influence things. Until I started looking into the things that I agreed with and that other people were talking about, but that I was too afraid to talk openly about. And there are some great examples that I have found that I would love to share with you. Just very recently, the United Nations passed a bill that had been on the table for 20 years. Now, I will not be naming the full name of the bill because it is far too long for me to memorize it, and it has a way cooler name known as the High Seas Treaty. And the High Seas Treaty states that all high seas, which make up roughly 2/3 of all the world's oceans, situated about 320 kilometers off of the coastline, any area within the high seas can now be claimed to be protected beyond national jurisdiction. This was finally passed after like 20 years of discussions through a lot of pressure from the WWF and Greenpeace and other institutions, but also from people like you and me who voice their opinions. And what this means is that marine protected areas can be created where all members of the United Nations have to adhere to these protected regions or face the legal and financial repercussions of the United Nations. But that is obviously not the only positive example that I've brought to the table. As a kid growing up, I very vividly remember hearing a lot about the hole in our ozone layer. But it is something that for the past 20 years, I have barely heard anything about. And there's a reason to that. It's because in large parts, scientists realized what the problem was and they fixed it. See, the problem they found were chlorine and bromine ions destroying ozone molecules in our stratosphere. And so scientists did quite a bit of research to figure out where these ions were coming from. And they noticed that chlorine wasn't coming from any salts used to melt away ice or from pool chlorine, but that they were mostly coming from CFCs, known scientifically as chlorofluorocarbons. Now, these compounds were extensively used in the 80s in refrigerators and air conditioners and fire suppression systems and other foam-like substances. But the one problem they had was that they were so full of CFCs that these were absorbed into the atmosphere, and when they were exposed to UV radiation, they formed chlorine and bromine ions. And it's these ions that are capable of destroying ozone molecules. And since ozone molecules are very necessary in our stratosphere to block out harmful UV radiation from the sun, so upon this realization, it became the very first bill amongst the United Nations to be unanimously passed to outright ban the usage of CFCs, because there was such a social outcry against the ozone hole. And so ever since then, we have seen a steady decline in the hole within our ozone layer. It has even gone so far as to scientists now saying that the hole is fully reversible and on track to do so. Now, I'm not saying we're there yet, and I'm not saying the problem is fully solved, but it is another great example of how social outcry and opinions can have a very positive and big influence on the world. Or what do you think about an even more recent and even more impressive example? Just a few months ago, on July 23rd, 2025, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, has officially ruled it illegal for any country to now ignore the climate crisis we are facing. They stated that a clean, healthy and sustainable environment is a precondition for any human being to exercise their human rights. Answering with striking clarity, the court said that states must act to prevent foreseeable climate harm or face international legal responsibility. And though the ICJ's opinion itself is not binding, neither on itself nor on domestic courts, it carries considerable legal weight and political legitimacy.
Now, what real-world consequences does this lead to? Well, we have already seen one very, very recently. See, 2 months after this announcement, on September 24th, 2025, China has officially committed to cutting their greenhouse gas emissions. It's the first time ever that China makes a commitment like this that broadens out to all greenhouse gases. See, back in 2020, the Chinese government had already stated that they wanted to lower their CO2 emissions by 2035. And it seems that with this commitment as well, China wants to be carbon neutral by 2060. And according to some experts, they are well ahead of schedule to achieve this. One other great example I came across that I just quickly wanted to mention was that for the first time in world history, renewables have officially overtaken coal in global Earth energy production. Now, these renewables mostly consist of solar and wind, and they still hold their own problems. But these renewables overshot their estimates by 108% and outperformed coal production for the very first time in our global history. And so these results are very clear proofs that voicing your opinion matters massively, and that if empowered by other people also voicing those concerns, it can have a genuine, profound, positive influence on the world. And it is this that I think Dr. Goodall wanted to drive home. See, Dr. Goodall was a phenomenal scientist and an incredible environmentalist. She was able to show that we are not the only species on this planet that harbors the capability for love, empathy, and community. And I think through her research, she came to the realization that it is that much more important to exercise these abilities of community and love and responsibilities behind them. Dr. Goodall understood like no other that it is important for anybody able to do so to voice their opinions and their concerns. It is this that she realized in her last message to the world that she needed to say. But I feel it may be best to just let Dr. Goodall do the talking in what she would ultimately know to be her very last message to the world, only to be broadcasted after her passing.
In the place where I am now, I look back over my life. I look back at the world I've left behind. What message do I want to leave? I want to make sure that you all understand that each and every one of you has a role to play. You may not know it, you may not find it, but your life matters, and you are here for a reason. And I just hope that that reason will become apparent as you live through your life. I want you to know that whether or not you find that role that you're supposed to play, your life does matter, and that every single day you live, you make a difference in the world, and you get to choose the difference that you make. I want you to understand that we are part of the natural world, and even today, where the planet is dark, there still is hope. Don't lose hope. If you lose hope, you become apathetic and do nothing. And if you want to save what is still beautiful in this world, if you want to save the planet for the future generations, your grandchildren, their grandchildren, then think about the actions you take each day, because multiplied 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 times, even small actions will make for great change. Above all, I want you to think about the fact that we are part, when we're on planet Earth, we are part of Mother Nature. We depend on Mother Nature for clean air, for water, for food, for clothing, for everything. And as we destroy one ecosystem after another, as we create worse climate change, worse loss of diversity, we have to do everything in our power to make the world a better place for the children alive today and for those that will follow. You have it in your power to make a difference. Don't give up. There is a future for you. Do your best while you're still on this beautiful planet Earth.
Dr. Goodall, I once again want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You, amongst many other scientists, but also mainly you, have had a massive influence on who I have become as a person. It is that I will be eternally grateful for.